Hey everyone, this is Mr. T-Bone81 back with another review of the Transformers Prime Robots in Disguise Voyager Bulkhead. And this is the figure that have mixed emotions thus far, I think, amongst the Transformer fans. And so I figured I was at the store and I saw him and I picked him up, and I don't really know what to think of him yet. I think the first impressions of him were not great, but I think I'll give it a chance and see. So, but this is his box, as you can see. Just very nice artwork of Bulkhead on the side. Just pictures of him on the back. I don't know if this is the correct transformation or not, so we'll see about that. And just his bio here, and then his technical data. Strength of 10. Go figure. So yeah, so here we are. You got the window, his mech techie weapon thing is just a spinning ball. So we'll see how that is. But yeah, that's just a quick look at his box, and let's get this guy open and we'll take a look at him. Okay, so here we have Bulkhead outside of his box and in his vehicle mode, and as you can see, he is the same Hummer looking mode that he is in the show. Pretty nice vehicle mode overall, I'd have to say. This thing is really stupid. I guess you can just plug it in here on top, and it's kind of this wrecking ball machine gun thing. It's actually two pieces. You can actually unplug it, and then you can give them this thing, I guess. I mean, it's more of a, you can bash things with it too in robot mode. But this thing is really, I don't know. I'm just not impressed by these whatsoever, actually. So, but all in all, his vehicle mode is actually not too bad at all. I do like this vehicle mode a lot. Kind of wish that there was clear plastic here, but that's okay. As you can see here, it's clear plastic in the front, but then you can see that there's a bunch of stuff here. Clear on the top here. Pretty similar vehicle mode to the first edition Bulkhead, but just for a quick size comparison, I'm going to compare him to the RID Optimus, and so you can see here that these are pretty good scale with each other. If you do have the RID line and that's mostly what you're collecting, then you can see it's not too bad. But yeah, like I said, all in all, pretty good vehicle mode, I would say, for Bulkhead in this mode. He is kind of this Hummer looking thing, so not too bad at all. So let's get him transformed and we'll take a look at him in robot mode. Okay, so to begin his transformation, what you're going to want to do first is you're going to want to come over here to these sides and then just pull these up and get them out of the way. And then his arms, you'll see his arms, very similar to the first edition. His arms are in the back. You're just going to want to unfold these like so, and just kind of leave those off to the side first. And then for the front, you're going to want to flip that up, pull down his legs, just like so. Okay, just get that out of the way. And then you're going to want to straighten his waist here, and then straighten his legs out. And then what you'll do is you will, these will rotate. This whole wheel assembly here, it'll rotate down just like that, and then you can fold out his toe like so. Let's do this on the other side. And so the whole wheel will rotate down just like that, and then this piece, this gray piece here, will undone. Okay, and so, and then you'll have to rotate the legs around just like that. Okay, so there you have the legs. This piece you can fold down just like that. It doesn't actually tab in there, so, but it does fold down, and it will hold in robot mode. But next, what you're going to want to do is untab these pieces here, do it on both sides, and then fold them up to the front. These are going to become his chest. And then these pieces here, I'm going to untab these, fold them out. The same thing on this side, fold it out, and then rotate it. Rotate this side as well. And then his arms, you just unpeg them and then fold them out to the front here like so. And then fold out his fists. And then you can rotate his head around just like that. And then this piece, This whole back section is just going to fold down, and it'll tab in. This little tab here will tab into a little slot right there, and it just tabs it in. You can straighten out his wings, I guess, his wing things. And then on these shoulder pads, you can split them and then put them over his arms. So split them over his arms like that. And then you can straighten out his arms. Rotate here, and then rotate there. So here you have Bulkhead in his robot mode. And I think at first glance, I think this guy got a lot of flack because, you know, obviously he's not the first edition, and he, you know, like I said, people are going to have very mixed feelings on this guy. And I must say he's okay. He's not horrible, but he's definitely not as good as the first edition, like everyone knows already. So, but all in all, as a figure, he's not too bad. He has really good articulation, and so in terms of his articulation, his head does rotate around, and it just goes this way. There's not much upward and downward movement because of the back piece here. And then his shoulders are on a ball joint, and obviously, like I said, the shoulder pads are able to move, so you can work with those a little bit. He does have a bicep swivel, bends at the elbow, and he has a forearm swivel, which is kind of nice too. So that's pretty cool. Obviously, no waist articulation. His legs are on a ball jointed hinge, and he can bend here at the knee, and then his toes don't really have articulation except they go back for the transformation. So not quite as good of articulation as the first edition, obviously, but you know, he's not, like I said, he's not that bad. And then in terms of his weapon, which I'd shown you, his mech tech weapon, you basically will just pull down, and then he has a spinning ball that you can just plug into his hand. You can do it that way. Really don't like these things, but just for the sake of the review, that's how it looks. So you can also plug it into his forearm, which doesn't even really stay in there that well. And then there's this thing that's kind of like I guess it's like a battering ram type of thing. If you look at it, there's it's kind of grooved and ridged, so with teeth, and so you can kind of see that if it'll focus. There we go. Yeah, so, and you can plug that in on his other forearm. You can plug it into his hand as well. So kind of not really a gun, but but I'm gonna take that thing off because I just don't like those. And then here, you know, just looking at him from the side, he is very hollow. Like he's not big. He's just, I think the thing that kind of bugs me about this figure the most is that he's not as bulky as Bulkhead should be, I feel like, and that's kind of just takes away from the figure for sure, you know. And just to do a quick size comparison and to the first edition Bulkhead, you can see here that, you know, he is shorter, obviously, just like all the RID line compared to the first edition. So that's kind of a given. But just in general, he's not as wide. He, you know, the front here just doesn't say Bulkhead to me as much. And then I don't really like these wings up here on the top here. You know, all in all, if you look at it from the side, you can see that the first edition one is just that much. It's just so much more bulky. And then I think I like how it closes off here on the side, whereas this one's kind of a gaping hole. There's not much to that part there. So, you know, from the back, not really anything too different in the back, really. But overall, you know, and obviously you can see the shoulder pads are much different on the first edition one. So, you know, overall, obviously the first edition one is still the better one, which everyone agrees with. But with this guy, the RID one, if you weren't able to pick up a first edition one, he's not a bad figure. He's just not really a great figure like the first edition was. And so definitely in terms of this guy overall as just a standalone figure, he's not bad. He has good articulation and all, but I think overall he is still lacking. I think he's just lacking in terms of just filling in his gaping hole on the side, just lacking some bulkiness to him, just because it is bulkhead, and you know, still no, you know, the weapons are just lacking. I think, I mean, that's just the same with all the power risers though. So, but definitely, you know, would I recommend him? That's a tough call. I think everybody has their own opinions on this guy. So really, if you don't have a first edition one and you're not going to be able to get one, then yeah, I would recommend this guy. But if you have a first edition one, then this guy's probably not needed. So that just kind of sums up my review of this guy. So feel free to leave questions and comments. But you know, definitely rate and subscribe. And thank you for watching, guys. I will talk to you guys later.